Yesterday, GameXplain said they highly doubted a mainstream Pokemon game would be announced at today's Pokemon presentation, due to Pokemon Sword and Shield DLC acting as the mainline release for 2020. I had my doubts about this, though. I mean, didn't they see those Gen 2 plushies on Mr. Ishihara's shelf? Come on, GameXplain. It has been proven that Room Decor predicts video game content. Wait, what? Skull Kid didn't become a Smash Bros. Character? Well, fuck. So it turns out that those at GameXplain were right on the money. In today's Pokemon presentation, a mainline Pokemon game remake wasn't announced, but rather a new spin-off game of the MOBA genre, Pokemon Unite. Unlike the masses of Pokemon fans, I gotta say I'm not too disappointed by this reveal. In this video, I'm going to quickly explain why I was actually somewhat delighted by today's Pokemon presentation. I'm not a total optimistic fool though. I also have some concerns that I'll mention as well. Let me start off by mentioning my mindset going into this Pokemon presentation. Unlike others, I wasn't looking forward to a Gen 2 Pokemon Let's Go or Gen 4 remakes. While I adore Gen 2, I shuddered at the idea of Pokemon making bank off the Let's Go formula again. The Let's Go games just don't look good or play well. I don't want to see Johto's beautiful sprite work reduced to soulless 3D. Honestly, I could go on and on about why I'm uninterested in a Gen 2 Let's Go game, but I'll refrain, as it is not the point of this video. As for Gen 4 remakes, while that would be nice, that is a long shot, and I am surprised that anyone thought this was a strong possibility. I mean this in no offense, I just want to point out, what would these Gen 4 remakes even look like? I literally have no clue. I don't think they'd be made in the Let's Go style, because I doubt Game Freak would jump from Gen 1 to Gen 4. So, Sword and Shield style? Well, with the DLC coming out, they're not going to announce another game in that same vein. Sorry people, maybe in 2021 we'll get those Gen 4 remakes. So I definitely had a different mindset than others going into this Pokemon presentation. I did not have specific hopes like others. Honestly, all I was hoping was that the featured game wasn't going to be Detective Pikachu. So I get that my opinion varies drastically from others. And hey, disappointed Pokemon fans, I feel you. I can totally understand your disappointment. In return, I ask that y'all please understand why some of us are peeved about the direction Paper Mario is going. I also ask that you admit that Sword and Shield were soulless trash. I kid. So when I saw the reveal for Pokemon Unite, I was somewhat delighted. But why was I delighted, aside from having a different mindset than others? Well, to start, I think spin-off games are fun. Some of our most treasured Pokemon games are spin-offs, from the newly revitalized Pokemon Snap to the plot-focused, underrated Mystery Dungeon games. Why else am I delighted? Well, you see, I am not too bright. I have frustratingly average intelligence. There are so many games I'd like to enjoy, but feel as though I can't because they just ask too much from the player. And League of Legends is definitely one of these games. Now, if there's one thing Nintendo's good at, it's taking a difficult genre with low accessibility and making it accessible. Pokemon Unite seems like it'll do just this with the MOBA genre. I mean, they even mentioned it in the presentation. So maybe I can finally have some MOBA fun without having to be reminded of how inadequate I am. Sweet. Similarly, I do think Pokemon could translate well into a MOBA. MOBA rosters seem to provide a lot of the lifeblood to the genre, and what's better than a Pokemon roster? Pokemon are lovable, recognizable creatures, which plays more into the game being accessible. Additionally, the Pokemon series already has some mechanics that could translate well into a MOBA, such as evolving, the type system, and catching. I've seen people say a MOBA Pokemon game is a weird mix, but I just don't agree. If Pokemon can be a complex fighting game, a dungeon crawler, a photography simulator, and a tactical role-playing game, why can't it be a MOBA? Can someone please explain to me what makes the MOBA genre so unfitting for Pokemon? I just honestly don't know. Maybe these points are minimal, but they're enough to get me interested in this game. Now, what concerns me? First, a Pokemon roster in a MOBA sounds great, but why are all these Pokemon Gen 1? Gen 1 was my first Pokemon game, but even I think this is fucking lame. Granted, the whole roster wasn't revealed, but the gameplay we have seen leaves me concerned. I don't want to see these motherfucking Gen 1 Pokemon anymore. Get out. Charizard, you're freaking dead to me. Get out. Second, as many have stated, this was announced as a free-to-start game. This is the equivalent of a person saying they love you on the first date. It's a big red flag. Free-to-start suggests that the game will be pay to win. I'm also afraid that it suggests that the game will be shallow and, underbaked. I know League of Legends is free, but I think a Nintendo game works best when it's a full retail game. Also, as a side note, how are they going to announce a free-to-start game but then not give a release date? That just seems odd to me. I feel like it should just have a release date by now, so I don't know what's going on with that. Now, this third point is quick and is something I'm stealing from others, but apparently the dev company Tencent is the EA of China. Now, this doesn't really concern me too much, but it is something I'll keep in mind if the game ends up being trash. I gotta do more research into the company, honestly, because this is the first time I've ever heard of them. Finally, the reveal trailer was trash. I mean, it just was. I can't exactly pinpoint why, but it did a poor job revealing and presenting the game. I know it is dumb to prejudge a game by its announcement trailer, but this announcement trailer kind of made it seem like the MOBA mechanics were a little bit awkward and that the game was given little love. So yeah, that's kind of just my thoughts on this Pokemon announcement. I'm intrigued by it, as you know, from the points that I mentioned above, but I also have concerns like others, though not to the extent of others. I feel like I'm a little bit more optimistic than the general community. So even though I already know the feelings of many people, let me know if you have any additional thoughts down below. And again, I do understand people's disappointment. The fact that this was a separate presentation really did kind of raise people's hopes, which totally makes sense. So I do feel for those people that were extremely disappointed by this presentation. So yeah, take care, guys, and peace.